Hey there, so I thought I'd share a little bit of the data log results with you. So here we're looking at the data log where got on it a little bit, got into a little bit of boost, and so we're going to isolate this one area of the log. We can see our RPMs going up to about 6,281 or so. So let's zoom in on this. Just kind of focus on this one area. So we're looking at this section as we're on the throttle. One thing to note is that so our throttle position was really just 77%. So we weren't exactly wide open throttle through this, but it's close enough for right now. But definitely when we're on the dyno or looking at this data accurately, we want to be at wide open throttle. So let's take that off for a minute. And one of the things we want to look at is a little bit of knock that we picked up here. So if we just throw in a knock retard, we can see right here this red line where we got some small degrees of retard, like 1.1 degree here, and looks like maybe 1.1 degree here. In and of themselves, 1 degree of retard is not too concerning, but when you have it consecutively like this, it's something that we want to take a look at and see if we can adjust it, because we don't want to be running any amount of knock for any significant period of time. So what's going on while we're at this knock level? Just taking a quick look at the rest of our data, we can see our AFRs here. So at this point right here in the middle, almost at the higher point of the 6,345 RPM, we noticed our AFR was 11.9. So we're sitting right at about 12.0, which is really a little bit too lean, even on E85. So this is something we're going to have to go back in and revisit the wide open throttle fueling and what's going on here, because we don't want to run 11.9. The amount of boost we were running really wasn't that much, as we talked about. It's just 16.1. You can see the yellow line here is our boost, and a boost stayed steady at just 16 psi. So for 16 psi at 6345 RPM with an AFR of about 12, that's going to give us some knock count. So that's something that we definitely want to keep an eye on. So let's take some of this extra data out of the screen here for a minute and just kind of look at what was going on in terms of knock. We even take out the RPM for the moment. We've got a knock threshold. Right? So this is kind of like the ceiling for the knock sensor's noise value, and we have 4 cylinders. We can look at the raw knock values in relation to this ceiling, so to speak, or the floor. With cylinder number 1, we can see that we broke that floor right here at about 5216 RPM, and that was the only time we exceeded the threshold. We got pretty close over here. So if cylinder 1 was a part of the knock events that were going on, if we look at cylinder 2, there was a lot more knock events going on with cylinder 2. So cylinder 2 eclipsed the threshold at 4401 and significantly eclipsed the threshold at 5365 RPM, and again a few more times later on in the run. So cylinder 2 was definitely not happy with what was going on there. Look at cylinder 3. Cylinder 3 was quiet. It stayed under the radar or under the threshold the entire time. And then cylinder 4 had the one moment where it was also above. So for cylinders 1, 2, and 4, each of them were breaking the threshold for our knock limits. And as I mentioned, cylinder 2 was the most significant out of all of those. So that's a little bit of information about some knock that we saw that was going on. Let's take these raw values out of here and take the threshold down. Leave the RPMs up again and the knock retard. Going back to the AFRs, one of the things interesting to note here is that the tuning was done, as you mentioned, by way of just on the dyno, because when we go and look at the AFR map, and this is kind of linked to track the data log, we can see that the targets here are really 9.1 AFR, which is really, that would be inappropriate for almost every fuel, even if we were running pump gas. So all of this over here is inaccurate in terms of targeting for a fuel. This could be, let's say, 11.5, 11.3, somewhere in that area, but all of this was just not done at all, essentially. So I'm not sure what where the thinking was there, but we definitely weren't doing that. And then if we look at timing, timing was okay. Timing here, if we track the data logs, we were right about here, 13 to 16. So timing was moderate, or yeah, not retarded and not too excessive, but definitely doesn't look like there was too much timing work. Well, actually, there was no timing work done, as far as I can tell. This is basically the stock timing map. So there was no MBT timing work done in terms of the tuning that was done on this car.